So I was asked by a subscriber in a recent video, what are my thoughts on some of the prospects that are up and coming? Now, I've always said that, you ask me anything, and if you want me to make a video on it, if I have the time and if I feel the need to, then I'll make one. Now, I've been wanting to make a video on prospects for a while, but I just, for whatever reason, never got around to it. Now, I'm going to name in this video my top 5 prospects. I'm also going to name and say what I think of some of the prospects that this guy mentioned. I'm not going to mention any US prospects. It's going to be kind of just the UK, because I'd watch more fights out of the UK than I would out of the US. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. Now, some of the fighters that were mentioned, one of them was Jack Catterall. Now, I have seen very little of Jack Catterall. I've seen his fight with O'Hara Davis. I've seen his fight with Tyrone Nurse. I think I've seen him in 1 or 2 other fights where he just fought, no hopers. So I've not seen enough of Jack Catterall to really be able to say anything or give an accurate kind of reading on him. So I'm not even going to bother, because I just don't know. I haven't seen enough of him to really say what I think. The O'Hara Davis fight was just such a stinker. It was not worth talking about. And the Tyrone Nurse fight was about 2 years ago, I think. I can remember it briefly. I think that was a stinker too, if I'm not mistaken. So I've not really seen much of Jack Catterall. And then the other 2 fights I think I saw were him against no hopers. So there's not really much I can add on that. He mentioned guys like Nathan Gorman, Daniel Dubois, both very good fighters. I think Gorman is fast. He's not quite the puncher that I thought he was originally. I saw him when he fought Sean Turner. He looked a good puncher. But I've seen him in other fights where he's, maybe not been, as explosive. He is fast. He's not the body beautiful type. He's got a bit of extra weight on. And you wonder kind of how good would he be if he took some of that off. And you go to Daniel Dubois, who is about 6'5". He's impressed me more, to tell you the truth. And, I think that the fight with Kajanu, which is coming up in March, that's going to tell us a lot about him. And that's going to kind of have, a good comparison between Gorman and Dubois. So that'd be an interesting one. That'd be a very interesting one. So far, between the two of them, I'd be more impressed with Dubois. But, Gorman could change my mind in his next fight. Dubois could maybe change my mind in his fight. So with regards to the two of them, I'm sliding more with Dubois than I am Gorman. Gorman's a good fighter. I just haven't been blown away. The one fight I saw that really impressed me was the Sean Turner fight. That I was impressed by that fight. The 2 fights that preceded, they were kind of they were all right. Dubois, although we got a lot of stick in the Kevin Johnson fight, he showed good work rate. And yeah, he just showed good work rate against a guy who didn't come to fight. So Dubois has been good. Now, there was other people mentioned as well, like Anthony Yarde, Joshua Buatsi. Joshua Buatsi, I think, is one of the best prospects, not just in the UK, but in world boxing. I think he's very talented, very skillful. And, I think Buatsi, he really is one to watch, definitely for the future. Definitely, Joshua Buatsi. Anthony Yarde, very good skills. For someone who's had so few amateur fights, he is very good. But I think his management is questionable, because he's being taken slow, but his management won't admit it. And I think that Yarde, they can't keep passing these knockover jobs that he's been fighting as, credible opponents, when they're just not. So I will reserve judgment on Anthony Yarde until I see him in his next fight, because I think this guy is durable and I think he will come to fight. So I'll reserve judgment on Yarde until I see him in his next fight. Right now, I think in light heavyweight, Buatsi is just head and shoulders above the domestic scene in the UK. I would say maybe Craig Richards. Excuse me. I would say maybe Craig Richards will be behind Buatsi, and maybe Jose Burton. But Buatsi is number 1, in my opinion, in the light heavyweight division at domestics level. He's a very good fighter. We've other fighters as well, like Josh Kelly. Now, Josh Kelly, I have seen pretty much all his fights, and I think that hands down flashy style, it works against a certain level of opponent, but I think moving forward, Josh Kelly's going to need to put his hands up. I don't think Josh Kelly has the reach to be able to fight like that. I think that Josh Kelly seems to have quite, not short arms, but compared to his height, I don't think his arms are that long, and I think that he's going to get hit with jabs and straight rights. He's going to get countered a lot. I've seen him in the amateurs in videos on YouTube where he was getting countered a lot with that hands down flashy style. That has a shelf life too, as well. I know Kelly's quite young, but still, I think that Josh Kelly, he needs to develop a tighter defense because he's nowhere near as slick as he thinks he is. Other than that, Josh Kelly is quite good. He's fast. He has a little bit of punching power. He is good, but I just think that he needs some extra work. And I don't really think that Adam Boot is the right trainer for Josh Kelly. I wouldn't know. I would actually maybe even argue. I was only just criticising him there a minute ago, but I would actually argue that maybe Tunde Ajayi might actually be a nice little fit for Josh Kelly, because I know he kind of teaches that kind of style, and he might be able to refine that a bit, because he does teach his fighters good fundamentals, Tunde Ajayi. So, I was only criticising his management of Anthony Yarde there a second ago, but he might do Josh Kelly a world of good. So that's Josh Kelly. Who else do we have at British level? I'm thinking off the top of my head that pretty much. We have Lawrence Okolie, I should say. I should mention him. Okolie, he looks, a bit all over the place. Even though he's won a British title, he won that title in a dirty manner. We held Matty Askin for 12 rounds, should have got disqualified. He beat Isaac Chamberlain again. He held him for 10 rounds. And Okolie just, I don't know. I've not really been too keen on Okolie. If I look at some of the other prospects that are coming through, if you can call Joe Joyce a prospect, which I do, then I would put Joe Joyce. If you want me to name my top 5 prospects, I've got Joe Joyce number 1. I think that Joe Joyce's style, as awkward as it is and as slow as he is, it's just effective. It's just really effective, and I can easily see Joe Joyce giving world level guys a problem. I think he's going to beat the crap out of Stavern when they fight at the end of the month. And, if he fights Luis Ortiz at the end of the year, I would give Joe Joyce a good shot in that fight. Definitely. If you want me to name my number 2 prospect, it's definitely Joshua Buatsi. Definitely, hands down. And by a good mile. Joshua Buatsi, really, really, really talented fighter. Really good fighter. I rate Joshua Buatsi really quite highly. If you want me to go in at number 3, I would say Josh Kelly. Even though I think Josh Kelly has some issues that need ironing out, I think Josh Kelly is a very good shout as a prospect. I think, if you could tighten his defense up a bit, then I think, Josh Kelly could be going places, definitely. Now, who would I have at number 4? I haven't mentioned him, and I know he fights in the States as well, but I would probably put Michael Conlan at number 4. I know Michael Conlan is going back and forth between the States, but let's just assume he kind of maybe wises on and realises that, maybe he needs a British promoter, hint at Eddie Hearn, and decides to sign with Matchroom, leave Bob Arum. Then I think that, they could build him up good over in the UK and have him on the zone in the US. And I think Mike Conlan, definitely put him in at number 4 in terms of my prospects, top 5 prospects. Now, 5th and final prospect, and I might even throw some honourable mentions out here. Some honourable mentions I would have would be Nathan Gorman. Nathan Gorman, as I already explained, a good fighter. Still not really overly, kind of sure on him, but, Nathan Gorman, from what I've seen, he seems quite a decent enough fighter. Archie Sharp, who has recently beat Leon Woodstock, as far as I believe. Hadn't seen much of him until I saw him against Leon Woodstock, and I saw Leon Woodstock a few times and was quite impressed with him. So Archie Sharp, seems to be doing well for himself, seems to be good. Willie Hutchinson, seen him on some of the Haymaker shows, and I've seen him on Frank Warren shows. I know he's signed with Frank Warren now. He's someone you want to keep your eye on. So there's some honourable mentions. Oh, and I want to also mention Felix Cash. I think he's injury prone, but he does have some good athleticism to him, and he seems decent power, but nothing crazy. So they're my kind of honourable mentions. And in at number 5, I'm going to go with Daniel Dubois as my 5th in my top 5 prospects. I think he's young, he's huge, he can punch, and I think that he's only going to get better. But I think that maybe his lack of speed might be a bit of an issue. And I think the fact that he is so young, he still has some filling out to do. I think that could be a bit of an issue because he's already not too quick now. And if he starts filling out, he could slow down a good bit. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Those are my top 5 prospects. And, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think you disagree. If you have anyone you want to add in, feel free to. But yeah, those are my thoughts on my top 5 prospects. Someone might have them differently. I don't know. But those are my thoughts on that. So again, feel free to leave your thoughts down below. And again, I will talk to you after.